An acquaintance on Facebook posted a video from Global News, a Canadian news agency, discussing the tragedies in Aleppo, Syria over the past few years, comparing it to our hometown of Toronto to describe what it would look like here at home. It's quite a dramatic and emotional presentation, and my acquaintance attached a dramatic and emotional comment. It begins, quote, "But it isn't an issue because we're tired of being sympathetic with other countries, right?" End quote. That's worded a bit strangely. It makes it sound like, I can't be bothered to hear about other countries' problems anymore, which I don't think is the case. There's a cost to being sympathetic. It's emotionally and psychologically draining, and emotional and psychological endeavors are physically draining. Are we tired of being sympathetic? Well, no. Are we tired? Well, yeah. Quote, "If you truly believe that saving our own shitty economy from whatever liberal nightmare you think you're having, pretty sure most of you neoconservative cunts have more than just a roof over your heads, so where is the issue? Comfort? Long-term damage to our dollar economy? You honestly think Canada would ever become a third world country?" End quote. Of course that's possible. All it takes is for people to think it's not possible, then act like it's not possible. Just look at Sweden, which in the last 3 decades has become the rape capital of Europe. According to UN projections, Sweden will be a third world country by 2030. Turns out, while their sympathy for refugees and migrants is an unlimited resource, their money is not. Education, welfare, and police are stressed to the breaking point. A country of 8 million people 30 years ago is now a country of almost 10 million, the difference comprising almost entirely migrants and children of migrants, a 25% increase. If Sweden closed its borders today, it may not be able to prevent its collapse under the weight of mass migration. A wise man once advised me, "Take care of yourself first. If you're not well, you're no good to anyone." We have an obligation to the world to make sure our country is strong before we have any business offering help to anyone. He continues, quote, "Is more important than trying to give refuge to fleeing civilians? Then you can honestly fuck right off." End quote. I don't know about more important, but it is definitely very, very important and should absolutely not be ignored. Our shitty economy is the means by which we would help refugees, and if we sacrifice it, we would suddenly become unable to help. Is the foundation of the house more important than the roof? I have no idea. I'm not an engineer or an architect, and without a roof, I'd be knee-deep in snow in my living room right now. But I do know that a foundation can't be built after the fact. To the importance I can't speak, but it seems there is a definite order in which these things must occur to remain stable in the long term. Quote, "It's not enough that you're able to do whatever you want, and you might have to work just a little bit more so that you can have it, but God forbid you pay, for example, $20 extra a month. A week even. Fuck." End quote. Letting alone the fact that we no longer live in a free country, and we can't do whatever we want. I may circle back to that, or watch some of my other videos. Be warned, I'm terribly drunk in all of them, so bear with me. Peak electricity rates from April 2010 to April 2016 have almost doubled. That translates to about the $20 a week that was mentioned. This has led to a swath of Canadians being forced to choose between buying food and paying their electric bill, especially retired couples on fixed incomes. Some have even been forced to move. There's a huge amount of people that can't afford what's suggested. It's just unfeasible. Quote, "Well, tough fucking shit, motherfuckers. Life doesn't always go as you fucking plan it to. Believe me, I fucking know that more than any of you." End quote. I'd like to address you directly here. I don't know you very well. Through your sister, I have a vague notion of what you've gone through. Just enough to know that I have no idea what you've gone through. Your sister thinks highly of you, and because of her, so do I. I hope that in troubled times I can emulate your strength and your bravery as described to me by your sister. But that doesn't excuse the fact the statement claims you know what everyone else has been through. I'm not trying to be pedantic. I'm certain you don't actually believe you know what everyone else has been through. I'm just illustrating that it was worded a certain way due to a strong emotional response. And while an emotional response is understandable, it's not necessarily representative of an informed opinion. Quote, sometimes shit hits the fan in other parts of the world and we gotta deal with it, end quote. No, no, we fucking don't. It's a nice thing to do, very Canadian and all that, but we don't gotta. Perhaps you feel that we oughta, but your personal feelings on the matter do not constitute evidence that we gotta. Quote, maybe even house a family once a year, end quote. Don't you fucking dare volunteer my philanthropy. How about I refuse and you can take two? The same idea. You volunteer my philanthropy, I volunteer yours. You already took in a family? Quote, well, tough fucking shit, motherfucker, end quote. You don't think it's fair? Quote, life doesn't always go as you fucking plan, end quote. You of all people should know life's not fucking fair. Don't you fucking dare tell me to think as you think and do as you do. Not only do you have no right to morally police me, you're not the fucking boss of me. For all my, quote, neoconservative cunt, end quote, opinions, it seems I'm far more classical liberal than you. Quote, we undervalue life so much that all we see are dollar signs, and yet those are the people who always find wrong in their lives, who always hate, end quote. Don't be naive. Living costs money. And just because some of us understand that doesn't mean that we undervalue life and that all we see are dollar signs. I don't see you quitting your job and doing it for free for the sheer joy it brings you. And I say this knowing full well that you enjoy your work because you know, and not deep down, but right on the surface, you know how much living costs. I get the first world problems memes, but a house doesn't stand forever on its own. It has to be properly maintained lest it fall into disrepair. You seem to be conflating my concern for my own house over my neighbor's as hate, and that's simply fucking ridiculous. If I deny my neighbors help repairing their roof because I need to focus on repairing my foundation, that doesn't mean I hate them. Just because my heart isn't bleeding for the world doesn't mean it's made of stone. We have to get our own house in order. There is some fucked up shit going on in this country. And you're right, it's not a liberal nightmare I'm having, it's a fucking reality. The Wynne government seriously screwed the pooch with electricity, hurting the middle class. Trudeau wants to further tax private health benefits, further hurting the middle class, and hit us with a carbon tax that has already been a proven failure in Australia. A tax that does literally nothing to protect the environment, but jacks up the price of literally everything. All the while, he accepts donations from foreign powers in what appears to be a pay-for-play type scheme similar to, oh, I don't know what American politician this reminds me. Not to mention Bill C-16 and the policies driving it. Make no mistake, these politicians do not give a shit about us. They care about their agenda, their ideology. They care about going to Wimbledon and Justin Bieber concerts on your dime. If we continue to ignore this shit, it will only get worse. Quote, hashtag hippie status achieved, end quote. Hippie status? Motherfucker, this is borderlining communism. Y'all need Jordan Peterson. Relevant links to shit I said in the description.